Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. And what's happening on today's show? Well, we got this.
If you would have told me 30 years ago there would be congressional hearings in U.S. Congress about UAPs and UFOs, I would have said, you know what? That would be wonderful, but it will never happen. And only last week, a few days ago, there was the third congressional hearing about UAP/UFOs in the halls of Congress.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind.
Imagine being told you only have months to live and then turning that diagnosis into a mission to help others. That's what happened to Eric Borstein, who was diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension, a rare condition that affects the heart and lungs. Years later, he's not only thriving, but walking thousands of miles each year to raise awareness and support research. As we mark Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month, Eric joins us to share a story of resilience and hope. Welcome to the show, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, Eric, let's start with your story. How did you first learn about your diagnoses, and what was that moment like?
So 5 years ago, this past September, I collapsed and nearly died. I collapsed from severe right heart failure. I spent 16 days in the ICU where I was diagnosed with a very rare lung condition called pulmonary arterial hypertension, also known as PAH. It's a chronic terminal disease and a disease with no cure. While I was in the ICU, I made a decision that I wasn't going to die and that I was going to live. So I was sent home. I was given 2 to 4 months to live, and I started to walk. And so between exercise, nutrition, positive mental health, and the reliance on my village, my family, friends, neighbors, here I am today.
And for people watching who might not know, what are some of the signs or symptoms of pulmonary hypertension?
So early on, fatigue, being out of breath. For me, I was sick leading up to collapsing. I wasn't ignoring the symptoms, but I was scared to find out what was wrong. And as it got worse and worse, I became more and more scared, to the point where my wife, one night before we went to bed, she said, "Please go to the doctor. I don't want to wake up with you dead next to me." And so as pulmonary arterial hypertension progresses, it can lead to right heart failure, and it did in my case. And when you're in heart failure, you have swelling in the abdomen, you have swelling in your legs and ankles, and then it just becomes to the point where you feel like you're suffocating when you're breathing. One thing that I learned is that, I wasn't alone in not going to the doctor. My psychologist taught me early on that upwards of 75% of males, when something is seriously wrong, they don't go to the doctor. So one of the messages that I do have is, especially to men, don't ignore the symptoms.
And you mentioned that the role your care team played in helping manage this. What kind of support made the biggest difference?
So I have an amazing support team. I've got a great cardiologist, a great psychologist, and then I've got CVS Specialty Pharmacy, so when I left the hospital, I was on a pump and I was being administered life-saving drugs straight into my heart. And so in those early weeks and months, I had a nurse that they provided that came to the house, and she almost became a family member. As I got better, my heart almost made a complete recovery, and after a year, I was taken off the pump. But CVS to this day, they've become a lifeline. I get my medications from them. They have 24/7 care that I can access, and they have an online pharmacist that if I ever need a second opinion, I have that. So collectively, they've become part of that village. And it's just so critical in the life of somebody living with a disease like this.
And you're now walking thousands of miles to raise awareness. What inspired that journey, and what does that mean to you today?
So walking very early helped mitigate the side effects of the medications that I was on. And then I also learned that it helped with positive mental health. So a mile turned into 2, turned into 3. Eventually, I was walking long distances. I was nicknamed the walking guy, which I'm known throughout Southern California as the walking guy. And so it became part of my identity, and it's become a tool to raise awareness. I now average 13 to 15 miles a day, 4,500 to 5,000 miles a year. And so we've used it to start a movement called Wear a ZB. About 2 years ago, my kids came to me and said, "Dad, let's do a fundraiser to raise awareness for this rare disease that you live with." So Wear a ZB was born. We've done 2 5Ks the last 2 years. The 5Ks culminated with me walking from LA to San Diego, 205 miles in 6.5 days. And I'm so proud to say that we've raised over $420,000 for a nonprofit called Team Phenomenal Hope, who helps underserved patients living with pulmonary hypertension all over the country.
And finally, where can people go learn more about your mission and how they can get involved?
They can go to cvshealth.com or whereiseb.org and learn a lot more about my story.
Thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
More adults are gaming than ever before, and it's not just kids asking for controllers this holiday season. With so many new titles and consoles hitting the shelves, the world of gaming has something for everyone. Joining us is Scott Steinberg, tech and gaming expert, to share what's trending right now and what gamers of all ages can look forward to this year. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Hey, Mandy, how's it going?
So the latest survey shows that gaming isn't just for kids anymore. What do you think adults are such a big part of the gaming boom?
Yeah, a few reasons. Gaming's really becoming a universal hobby. And right off the bat, I think a lot of adults are playing for the same reason that kids are, that sense of fun, escapism, even the chance to connect with other players and have some camaraderie. Also, I think the ongoing advancements in technology we're seeing are a big important part of this as well. Because if you think about it, today's titles have movie quality storytelling behind them. They've got these deeply complex strategic experiences and, of course, unrivaled visual graphics as well. But on top of that, also, if you've noticed, if you see people either sneaking in a quick game on their cell phone or going online to unwind after a long day of work, gaming really is well suited to just about every lifestyle as well.
And there are so many kinds of games out there. What's the best way to pick something that fits everyone on your holiday list?
Sure. I think the big tip here is not to approach it as shopping for a gamer per se, because we know everybody is playing now, but rather to match the title to the person's real world interests and their hobbies, and you shouldn't go wrong. So, for example, maybe you've got somebody who's a history buff in the family. They like strategic thinking, world building, and the like. Well, okay, lots of strategy and simulation titles that would fit the bill. Maybe they prefer Hollywood blockbuster style action experiences. You could always choose a role-playing game or action adventure. So as long as you pair it around their passions, you'll be fine. You won't have trouble finding a title that fits.
Great advice, Scott. What are some of the new or most talked about titles this season?
Yeah, I've actually got two of the holiday season's hottest titles with me here today. One's a strategy game, one's an open world role-playing type experience. So right off the bat, there's Anno 117 Pax Romana. This is the strategy game. It's all about city building, and it's set at the height of the Roman Empire. So basically, you play the governor of your own province. You have to manage trade, juggle resources, deal with diplomatic and military scenarios. Whatever challenges the game throws at you, it's basically your chance to live out being in the historical era and control the fate of your own Roman Empire. But on the flip side, there's also Assassin's Creed Shadows. And this is the latest in the long-running and critically acclaimed franchise. I guarantee you got a gamer in the family who's tried one of these or heard of one of these before. And what they do, they really kick things up a notch here in Assassin's Creed Shadows, because it's a sprawling action adventure that is set in a living, breathing version of feudal Japan. So you can play as a couple different heroes, try different combat styles depending on the mission at hand. Maybe you want to go stealthy. You can play as the ninja Nawe. Perhaps you'd prefer brute strength. You can play as the samurai Yasuke. Super cinematic, super immersive, great storytelling, really like living a movie. But these are just two of many great options this holiday season.
And when will people be able to get their hands on these new games? I know I myself am interested in that Assassin's Creed, so let me know, Scott.
Yeah, you can actually pick them up at your favorite retailer or even download them to your PC or favorite console of choice. They're available right here, right now, today. There's going to be all sorts of deals and steals going on through the holiday season. And in fact, if you did want to pick up Assassin's Creed Shadows, rumor has it they're doing a limited time markdown coming up.
Finally, where can viewers go to learn more about what's coming in the game world?
Sure, I would check out ubisoft.com. That's ubisoft.com. You can get details on all sorts of hot new holiday titles, watch some game trailers, even pick up downloadable content if you want extra adventures as well.
Awesome. Thanks for being on this show, Scott. It's been great to have you.
Of course, Mandy. Happy holidays to you.
Ancient Aliens is back with new episodes on History Channel, and the conversation has jumped from your TV to the stage. The live show, Ancient Aliens Live, is touring the country, and joining us today is the face of the series, Giorgio Tsoukalos. Giorgio, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'm doing great. Thanks very much. How about you?
I'm doing good. For the fans out there who only know about the TV series, what does this Ancient Aliens Live deliver that you can't get from a single episode? Is there a moment from it, from doing it, that has kind of surprised you too?
Absolutely, because Ancient Aliens Live is something to give back to the fans. because only the fans have kept us on the air for so long. Because without an audience, you can't be on the air. So thanks to all the fans for keeping on our lights. And so as a thank you, we are crisscrossing the US together with myself, Jason Martell, William Henry, and Nick Pope, some of the stars of the show. And we present essentially a 90-minute immersive Ancient Aliens episode with photos, videos, discussions, and a Q&A at the end with the audience. And so if you want to see how we interact with each other and what our banter is, and if you want to hear us speak in full sentences, then this is a fun night out on the town for the whole family. And it's a little roller coaster around the world full of adventure, exploring ancient mysteries. So come on down, check it out.
And the season feels bigger with perspectives colliding, some new discoveries. In your words, what's new or evolved about Ancient Aliens right now?
Well, Ancient Aliens, we are now also covering modern aliens, because I've got news. They never left. They've always been here observing, because back then they were called the Watchers. Well, a watcher never stops watching. And so what were our ancestors referring to? They were referring to visiting extraterrestrials who imparted the first basics of science, mathematics, agriculture, engineering, all the medicine, all the astronomy, all these different things. And so I think that if you teach that to somebody, you never lose interest to observe their progress. And so I think that is what's going on right now. These increased UFO sightings up in the sky, I think it's them showing themselves slowly to illustrate, hey, you are not alone. And by the way, you've never been alone.
And skeptics are always asking for that strongest piece of evidence, the one thing that you kind of point to and say, let's start here. What is it for you and why?
So long ago, I would have completely answered this question differently, and I would have rattled off a whole list of what I find concise evidence. However, over time, I learned that any skeptic in this is only ready to accept any of our propositions if they are ready for it. And so I don't care anymore if the skeptics agree with me or not. The evidence is there. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked, I love Ancient Aliens, but how come you never show any evidence? Well, in the almost 300 episode we've done, it's all evidence. The evidence is in the episode. So this illustrates perfectly that what might be evidence to some is not evidence to someone else. And so time will tell. And I know that we are sitting on the right horse. And, we are in the paradigm shift already. I mean, if you would have told me 30 years ago there would be congressional hearings in US Congress about UAPs and UFOs, I would have said, you know what? That would be wonderful, but it will never happen. And only last week, a few days ago, there was the third congressional hearing about UAP/UFOs in the halls of Congress. I mean, we live in the most extraordinary of times.
And you guys often connect mythology, history, traditions. Where do you draw that line between legend and historical data?
Well, the line is that it is a fact that any legend, any mythology has to be rooted in some type of a reality, because not a single idea is born out of a vacuum. And so if you have, biblical stories of, let's say, Ezekiel, who is taken up by this glowing glory of the Lord, as he calls it, but then it descends and he sees that there's a wheel within a wheel, and it was as noisy as 1,000 waterfalls and things like that. So you have to ask yourself, wait a second, were these just visions? Did it all just happen in somebody's head because, they drank too much or they smoked one or two substances? That to me is insulting the intelligence of our ancestors. Our ancestors commemorated these things because they knew whatever they were observing was not ordinary. It was extraordinary because they lived in nature. They were way closer to nature than we will ever be in this day and age. I mean, they lived in nature. I mean, they had no shelter in the earliest of days. They had to find shelter. They had to, find food, hunter-gatherers. And so when you have the earliest of petroglyphs that have very strange beings in them, you have to wonder, well, how did they come up with this if there was nothing to base this upon? Because any psychiatrist or psychologist will tell you that you can't come up with a story unless you have a basis for it. And where is the basis at the beginning of history? There is no basis. We have a basis today, but back then there was no cumulative knowledge to draw from.
Giorgio, Tsoukalos, thanks for joining us today. Ancient Aliens airs Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on History Channel, and episodes available to stream the next day. For tour dates and tickets to Ancient Aliens Live, you got to check out ancientalienslive.tour.com. Giorgio, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Wonderful, Dan, and I can't wait to do it again next time. Thank you.
Ever think about how much strength it takes for the tiniest babies to fight their way into the world? November is Prematurity Awareness Month, and it's a moment to honor those little fighters and the families and caregivers who support them every step of the way. Dr. Diana Pontell is a board-certified pediatrician and mom of 2, here to help us understand why caring for premature babies is so specialized that even their diapers are made with extra intention. Have a look.
Each year, more than 360,000 babies are born too soon, representing about 10.4% of all births nationwide. For families, it's an incredibly emotional journey. Caring for premature babies is incredibly specialized, and even something as simple as a diaper has to be completely reimagined. Pampers is behind every baby, even the tiniest fighters, which is why they created the world's tiniest diaper. Pampers Swaddlers size extra, extra small, designed to provide care and comfort for the most vulnerable babies born prematurely, weighing less than 1.1 pounds. Pampers is the #1 choice of NICU professionals and the first brand to partner with NICUs and create a preemie diaper. Each diaper in Pampers' preemie collection is designed for extremely premature skin and is made with premium soft materials to help prevent abrasion of babies' underdeveloped skin. For over 25 years, Pampers has partnered with March of Dimes, a national organization dedicated to improving the health of mothers and babies. This November, during Prematurity Awareness Month, Pampers is continuing its commitment to the advancement of care for the most vulnerable babies with a donation to the March of Dimes NICU Family Support Program. This program provides education, comfort, and life-changing guidance for more than 50,000 families each year as they navigate the challenges of a newborn stay in the NICU. Visit Pampers.com to learn more about how you can support preemie care with a donation to March of Dimes this month.
Ever wonder what happens when a football star gets a second shot at his dreams, well, under a fake name? Hulu's new comedy, Chad Powers, follows Glenn Powell as a disgraced quarterback who reinvents himself in the most unexpected ways. So joining us is Wynn Everett. She plays Trisha, a Southern socialite and booster caught up in the wild world of small-town football. Welcome to the show, Wynn. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. The show has such a fun premise. There's a quarterback pretending to be someone else just to get back on the field. What first hooked you about Chad Powers when you read the script?
Well, Chad Powers came to me as one of the greatest gifts of my lifetime because I had moved back home to Atlanta, to the South. I was raised in Atlanta, and I had done New York for 9 years and Los Angeles. My husband and I decided we want to move back to the South, to Atlanta. And then I've been working here. And then all of a sudden, one day in my email box, I get a script called Chad Powers that was going to be shot here in my hometown in Atlanta with a Southern crew and a Southern creator that wrote this, Michael Waldron. He's also from Atlanta, and Glenn Powell. Together, they created the show. And I was hooked from page one. I was laughing out loud. They created characters that had depth and heart and humor and wit, and sometimes said the most outrageous things and then sometimes said the most tender things. And I fell in love.
And your character, Trisha, brings a lot of Southern charm and maybe a little mischief. How would you describe her personally and the role that she plays in pretty much all this?
So Trisha is the head booster for the South Georgia Catfish. She is in charge of really getting the money for our program, our college football program. And she is very invested. And that's where we come with, in the beginning, in episode 1, we don't have a quarterback. And Trisha wants that quarterback. She wants that position filled ASAP so we can get this program going and get a winning season. And in walks Chad Powers in an open tryout audition. As you can tell, I'm a theater kid.
No worries about that. Speaking of, how did you find inspiration for the role? Anybody that you watch, go to the DMV, go to PTA meetings? What got you there to turn into this character?
Well, when I read it, I actually called a dear friend of mine who works with the boosters at the University of Georgia. And so he kind of walked me through what a booster meeting looks like and how these ladies act and work with the people that are donating to the team and to the school. And he really, really helped inform me sort of the world of boosters, which is it's an insane culture in and of itself. And so I was really able to draw from that. And then, for Trisha, she's just every Southern woman that I was raised by. My mother is a bit of a Trisha. I have Trisha in my neighborhood right now that mothers me, just people that are in charge and can sometimes be bossy. I don't want to say that too loud because then my mother will call me. And they're just loving, but they also will tell you what to do, and they've got some opinions.
I could almost guarantee your mom's not watching this show.
I'm safe. I can say everything.
Good. Yeah, no, all spoilers allowed here. It kind of takes a shot at sports culture, but also redemption and identity. What kind of conversations were happening on set about those deeper themes and behind some of the laughs you guys got?
Well, and that's what I think is people that watch this show, it is not what you expect. It's taken from a 10-minute sketch of Eli Manning's, and Glenn Powell and Michael Waldron created this entire world, but it is just not what you expect. It's got the witty moments, it's got the humor, it's got the comedy, but then it can be very dark. The characters say things that are super inappropriate and very vulnerable at times and make you very uncomfortable. And then it's got a lot of tenderness that people are not expecting. So we just want so much for people. If you think you know what it is and you don't want to watch it, we want you to tune in, and we hope to change your mind and that you fall in love with this world.
And you've had such a wide-ranging career, from Agent Carter to Doom Patrol and now Chad Powers. How does this project stand out for you compared to some of your other past roles?
This just stands out for me because it's my heart. It's where I was born and raised in the South in Georgia. It's got the characters that I grew up with. It's got a voice and an energy about it that I know. I know the energy of the South and the University of Georgia my parents went to, where we filmed our finale at the University of Georgia in the actual stadium with 93,000 fans all there. It's all real. It's all live. It's crazy what they did as a production in that scene in the finale. And so this is just a super special project to me. It's basically like coming home.
Wynn, I want to thank you for joining me today. You can catch Chad Powers. It's now streaming on Hulu with new episodes every Tuesday. Wynn Everett, thanks for joining me today, my friend.
Thank you. Love you guys, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for plugging the show.
What if instead of dying, you could be uploaded into a digital afterlife, complete with luxury, tech, and maybe a few glitches? Well, that's the wild setup of Upload, the sci-fi comedy from Greg Daniels, creator of The Office and Parks and Rec. The show imagines a future with holographic phones, AI assistants, and even 3D food printers, where the afterlife is just another subscription plan. The 4-part finale is now streaming on Prime Video, and joining us is comedian and actress Zainab Johnson, who plays Alicia. Welcome to the show, Zainab. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, the finale is here. Well, what can fans expect from these last 4 episodes without giving away too many of the spoilers?
The fans can definitely expect closure. They can expect us taking everything that they've seen throughout the series, seasons 1 through 3. They can expect that to be heightened, but also definitely closure. So really big comedic moments, really big fun moments, stunts, of course, introducing new technology, solving kind of like solving a mystery, but also in terms of like the will they, won't they, the love story between the trouble of Nathan, Ingrid, and Nora. I think the fans will appreciate a bit of closure in that department.
And Alicia's been through so much in Lakeview. How did you want to see her story land in this kind of finale?
I really enjoy seeing Alicia succeed. I feel like that was important to me, and I think that was important to show, because Alicia, in a very different way, is like a morality character. Like she often battles with like doing the right thing for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, et cetera, et cetera. By this last season, her not only like, getting a lot of promotions, but also sort of being a double agent in a sense, and really sort of working within the system to sort of change it and fix it or protect the people from it. I think that was a wonderful way for me to sort of show how much she has grown.
And Greg Daniels, I'm a huge fan. He balances humor and heart really, really well. What moments while shooting these episodes really captured that for you?
The humor and the heart. In this fourth season, I mean, there's so many moments, but like in this fourth season, there's a scene where the AI guy is just, he's kind of like distraught because his AI girlfriend, has broken up with him. And it's such a silly scene, but Alicia goes in, and not only Alicia and Luke, they go in and they comfort him through what is like a really, really silly, like in the essence of it, it's silly, but also the way it's filmed. It's like he's laying on a floor in an elevator and it's just like hitting his head, like the physical comedy of it all. But for us to not really focus on that and to really just focus on like, oh, okay, well, he's having this human experience and he's feeling pain and sadness, and we have to help him through this. I feel like that's a really good example and one of my favorite moments this season of like balancing this like, like really, really huge humor moments, but also like the heart of the show.
And you're also not just Alicia, you're also a stand-up comedian and a host. How does your comedy background shape the way you approach a character on screen?
I mean, I'm always like trying to look for the funny, like I'm always like, like it's fun to be funny, although in the scene as the character, it's not really funny to you. You're playing it genuine. And that happens for me a lot on stage too. When I'm doing my stand-up, while the audience is like laughing really hard, I am typically like playing the jokes that I'm saying very straight, or really living through the experience, which could have been like sort of like, I don't know, dramatic for me, but I'm allowing the audience to sort of laugh at it. And I feel like that has really helped me in terms of like, acting, not just on Upload, but, any other work as well.
Zainab Johnson, thanks for joining us this morning. You can stream the complete 4-part finale of Upload right now on Prime Video. Share your favorite moments with hashtag UploadTV and follow @Upload on Prime for more. Zainab, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And that's it for Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. Go to our website, riseandwindtv.com. Follow us on social media. That's @RiseUnwind. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.